I have the details on scored
Swarting.
swarging on swarging. Hey guys, welcome back to the Glass Candle Podcast. I am one half of your host. My name's Eric,
And I'm Lillian.
and we admin over at the Facebook page A Song of Ice and Fire / GOT Discussions and Theories. Today we are going to discuss Arya chapter
5.
5. They never have numbers on them, man. Like I don't know. I text you like the week of and like, what page is this on?
Or maybe you should write
Arya
things
chapter
down.
5. And yeah, so our podcast breakdown is going to go as follows. Lillian is going to give us a quick summary of what happened in the chapter. We're going to discuss who had the biggest influence over the POV character. We'll figure out any kind of alternative actions that Arya, in this case, could have done aside from what she actually did. We're going to take a look at how the events in this chapter affected the other plots moving forward. We added in a new spot, our alternative POV, so which character would you like to have witnessed the events of the chapter from? We pick our standout quotes, and then our standout character and appearance, and then we move on to any theories that might apply. So, with that out the way, Lillian, go ahead for our #high-level summary.
Okay, so Arya's been living on the streets of Flea Bottom, sleeping on rooftops and in stables. She catches pigeons to eat and occasionally trades them for bread and bowls of brown at pot shops. She avoids them, though, as she can feel people watching her and she knows they want to rob her and worse. Arya makes the rounds of King's Landing, checking the gates for escape routes. She spies men at the docks in Winterfell colors, but realizes they're not her father's men. The bells ring and everyone rushes to the Sept of Baelor. Arya climbs Baelor's statue to see past the crowd and sees her father being held by the gold cloaks and Sansa just standing there. Ned confesses his treason and Joffrey tells Sir Ilyn to bring him his
Everybody's
head.
just standing there right now.
I have to point out that Sansa is there, okay? Arya tries to get to her father but is swallowed by the crowd. She sees ice and is grabbed by Yoren and told not to look. Ned is beheaded and Yoren drags Arya off, repeatedly calling her boy and telling her she's going with him. Did I miss anything?
Nothing, just to clarify the little spot about Joffrey demanding Ned's beheading. He goes on there and he's talking about how Cersei and told him to send him to the wall, and Sansa begged for mercy, and he's just like, but plot twist,
Fuck you!
they're
Yes.
a bunch of chicks. And they're,
What do they know
they're too
about
nice.
war?
Yeah, so you and Joffrey line up. I'm glad you pointed that out.
I'm such a terrible person.
Yeah, fans. But yeah, so just aside from Joffrey being a walking plot twist this chapter, yeah, that about covered it.
So who do you have for the main character of this chapter?
I had Arya, but then we did like 7 takes in a row, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. So aside from letting you guys listen to me talk in circles and coming around to the real main character, the main character, like the main focus of this chapter is what happened to Ned. So Ned is the main character here, despite it being an Arya perspective. The main thing that happens here is that Ned gets his head chopped off.
Agreed, that is what I had written down. So that just completely shortens that.
It was me rambling for like a minute and a half
Okay.
and picking like 4 different characters. Like I didn't write my notes yesterday. Who had the most influence on the POV character?
Alright, so I had Syrio as the biggest influence over Arya. You know, a couple of times she's referencing his lines about look with your eyes, and that's how she's able basically to survive her time in Flea Bottom. I feel like that was the biggest influence, and then obviously with her practice sword, that's how she kept herself safe, and then when she was trying to get through the crowd to get to her father, she was using needle, not the practice sword, but still anything that she knows how to do is from Syrio.
That's a good take. I didn't even think of Syria there. So I put that her biggest influence was just the atmosphere of Flea Bottom. No one in particular, but the mob and the gold cloaks and like just this environment that she's in really dictates what she does. She has some agency, but it's like given like this small like box of options, you have your free will to choose out of like these tiny set of things. So she has some agency, but not really at all, you know? I said the mob scares her and dictates what she does in Flea Bottom, and the Gold Cloaks influence her need and her plan to escape. So they have like all the gates locked down on one-way traffic. Nobody can come out or nobody can leave King's Landing, and only a couple of the gates allow people to come in.
Their people
The
can go
docks are
out.
watched. Oh
They're
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
interrogated the fuck out. They just
Yeah,
interrogate
yeah.
them.
And then down at the docks, the Lannister guys were impersonating the Stark men and everything like that. So everything that the Gold Cloaks are doing is keeping her pinned in. And then while she's there in Flea Bottom, you know, you mentioned like everybody's like staring at her, trying to see if they can steal shit and or do other bad stuff to her. And everybody's trying to beat her up. She's sleeping in a different place every night. She can't always get food. So
Well, on her first night,
uh,
all of her stuff got stolen. You know, her
yeah,
bracelet that she was going to use to kind of buy passage to get out of King's Landing, and then her nice clothes. The only reason why she kept Needle is because she was sleeping on top of it.
right. All right. So let's move into alternative actions. So I said she could have. Arya could have risked leaving through one of the gates and hope they don't recognize her. We do see whenever she goes down to the docks that the quote Starkman, the Gold Cloaks impersonating the Starkmen, call her a boy, and she's just like, yeah, I'm a dude, and then she runs away and stuff like that. So she could have risked slipping through and looking like some braggy ass little boy, and then got out that way.
It's a good
Uh,
point. Usually I call out stuff like that, and I didn't even think of that.
I said she could have tried to break the Blackwater. That would have been a little more risky. She had some ideas, but I think in general, like waiting and then escaping the Yoren was probably the best route she could have taken.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she had very many options on what she could have done differently and survived. So I think what she did was just the best for her case.
I wonder if she could have backtracked her way into the Red Keep and then just like hung out in there and tried to kill people.
She
She might have
prob
done that if Yoren didn't keep her, right?
she
She has
probably
Neil
could
still.
have, because there's a couple different ways.
She'd have gotten caught and killed, like almost for sure, though, right?
Eventually, yeah. If someone like the guards didn't catch her, I'm sure Varys would notice some little girl roaming around his secret passages. Or
They would probably
unless
catch her and
one of the
think they're
little
one of
birds.
Varys' little birds. Yeah.
Yeah,
And Varys
maybe.
would be like, I know who the fuck. Yeah, yeah, that's one of my little birds. And then he cuts her tongue out, and then Arya's a little bird. That's an entirely different storyline
That's
there. That could be it.
whole
I
other
mean,
kind of
I
butterfly
like what she
effect.
does. I like what she does, for true in the books. But that could have been something else.
That would be
Huh,
so
yeah.
if Varys had the real Arya cut out her tongue, Peter has a fake Arya and sends her to Winterfell. It'd be weird.
What do you have?
I
Other
already said
actions,
I couldn't come up with
which
anything.
was
Basically,
oh
for her situation, she did the best she could. Okay, so think of Winterfell, like they have that little lagoon or whatever by the heart tree. I don't think Arya would know how to swim very well. I don't think she would make it through Blackwater.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely the riskiest option to take. Like grown men don't even do it. So even if you're a good swimmer, like it's not a guaranteed escape plan.
Yeah, so I
But
feel like
it was
what she
an
did was
idea.
was fine.
But trying to sneak out and just walk out the front door, kind of like what Barristan did, how he just like walked right back in, and people are just like, "Oh, it's an old man."
Yeah.
Go ahead and take us into our next one.
Okay, so our next point is how the events of this chapter affect the other plots, our butterfly effect. So I had that this, Ned's head getting taken off basically increases tensions throughout the entire realm. Robb has already called the banners as it is. Renly's taken off, so this is just gonna set everything off a whole lot more. It causes Tywin to send Tyrion to King's Landing to try to handle Joffrey because obviously he's doing his own thing. He's not listening to any counsel. Sansa is getting a reality check. Joffrey, again, is not the person that she thinks that he is. And it leads to Jon attempting to abandon the Night's Watch.
All good points. Yeah, I had the same thing. Sets Sansa up as a hopeless prisoner instead of a hopeful prisoner, and leads to her resistance narrative and
Her
Clash of Kings.
resistance? What
Her
resistance?
resistance narrative. She's like back talking Joffrey all the time, and she's like plotting behind his back, and she's not like giving in and being like, okay, yeah, you're right, Cersei. Like I'm gonna be like a good little prisoner. She's scheming, however rudimentary or however
That's not until
much
like a
of a
Storm
pawn
of
she is.
Swords.
In a Clash of
In a Clash of
Kings,
Kings, she just
she's
gets her
doing the
ass
same
beat.
thing.
No, she talks back occasionally, and
Well,
Joffrey has them
yeah,
kick her ass.
she gets her ass beat, but she doesn't like beg for mercy and shit like that. She doesn't cower down. She like takes her ass beating, and then she's like, all right, I'll go fuck off.
All right,
She she
that's gonna
doesn't
be
just
a
like
rough book for us.
you can't read that and be like, yeah, Sansa's totally giving up and just siding with the Lannisters here. She's definitely not.
I didn't say she was.
Yeah, so she's resisting them. That's her resistance narrative.
I
She's the
guess
unwilling prisoner.
she's like passively resisting.
Whatever, man. Read the fucking books again. It makes
I fucking
Robb
hate you.
Lord of Winterfell in his own right because Ned's dead now, so it passes off to Robb, and he gets even more pissed. And then after this, Joffrey kind of sticks to his insane asshole persona. He doesn't really flip back to nice guy until Marjorie comes back in. So for pretty much most of the next book, he's psychopath. And really, this I don't want to say this triggers the War of the Five Kings because I think Robert doing that really does, but definitely with Ned getting beheaded, this sparks Rob's men to name him King in the North, and that's just another king in there. And
Wait, so what
it
do you
definitely
think
adds
triggers
in
it?
Robert Baratheon dying,
Oh, triggered it.
like, because that's when Renly ran off to go get crowned. That's when Stannis staked his claim. That's when Joffrey staked his claim. Rob is now like the last one in. Well, Balin is the last one.
Okay, I guess that's a good point. I always think of it as Ned's head, but yeah, you have a good point.
Okay, so now this leads into all our alternative POV. Like, which other character would you like to see the events of this chapter from? So we ran a poll through the group, but let's discuss our answers first. So I wrote my answers before I even posted the poll, and I'm happy for once that the group agrees with me because I picked Cersei. What'd you pick?
Cersei.
Nice. So let me pull this motherfucker up again.
Or
Okay, yeah.
do you want
So
my poll
just
answer, or do you want my real answer?
no, I seen your poll answer. It's Varys left nut. What is that supposed to even mean?
You included the pigeon, so I had to include something.
So I said my reasoning for picking Cersei is to see her reaction to it, her opinion on Joffrey not listening to her thoughts on what Tywin would think whenever he hears this news. I definitely don't think Cersei tried to like sneaky tell Joff to kill Ned instead. She definitely wanted to keep Ned alive. So it'd be interesting to see or read her thoughts on Joffrey going rogue here and like going off the rails and doing his own thing. What's your reason?
Basically for the same thing, really just to see, what she knew and expected to happen and what her reaction was, because I agree, I don't think she wanted that to happen. I think she knew, I can't remember if it's Tyrion. Someone says it eventually down the road, that, or maybe it was Varys. It could have been Varys before this. That a tame wolf is better than a dead wolf, something like that. Does that sound familiar at all?
Sounds like a thing people said.
Point being,
I don't remember who said it, but it sounds like a thing that was said.
yeah. So I think Cersei was smart enough to know that, and Joffrey just did whatever the fuck
Not
he
smart
did.
enough. So 28 people voted Cersei. Our number 2 was the pigeon Ned works into, but that doesn't count. So 18 of you people you might as well have voted for Harambe. So number 2 is actually Sansa. So Sansa would also be like a really good one. You'd have like her build up like to this thing since Joffrey's told her that he's gonna let her father live, so she's gonna be all hopeful. She's gonna be like, this will bring us closer together. Daddy gets to live. Rob and Mom can stop being all crazy and shit. Everything's gonna go back to normal. Everything will be great. And then he says it, and then just sharp downhill. Yeah, it'd be really bad. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I don't. I agree with what you said.
And our next up was Joffrey, and Joffrey would have been my second pick. I think that would have been really cool to have a one shot of Joffrey, or if even this might leads into Joffrey POV and Clash. Um, yeah, just to hear his reasoning on it, you know?
Reasoning?
Yeah, like how he internalizes and reasons that this is what he's gonna do.
He's a fucking douche.
I'm sure there's a bigger reason than just I'm gonna be a douche.
He
I
wanted
feel
to
like you're not
show
even trying.
he wanted to show that he was a big man and had power, so he could take someone's head off.
Maybe he just has a strong ideal on treason and not standing up for it.
Maybe he feels like that's what his dad would have done because Robert was the warrior king and he looked up to Robert. Robert was a fighter.
Yeah, what does that have to do with killing people punished for treason? Because Robert did not punish people for siding against him. He was just like, "You want to join my team now?" And they were just like, "Yeah, you're kind of cool."
Joffrey didn't
That's what
understand his
Robert did.
father. Joffrey thought it would be cool to skin a or open up a cat and show it to his dad. He thought his dad would like that.
Okay, so you're just coming out from
Like,
Joffrey's mindset.
yes, like he
I thought you were saying like that's what Robert does. Is he
no,
beheads people who?
like in Joffrey's perception, he thinks that his dad, would have done something like that
I don't see why he would think that though.
because
Because
his
he didn't
dad's a
behead
big
Balin.
tough man.
Yeah, but Joffrey, like, however irrational and psychotic he is, he won't just randomly think that, yeah, when the Greyjoys rose up, my father beheaded Balin for treason. Because people are going to be like, no, actually, Balin's still alive, dude. So I don't know if he'd justify it like that.
He's the king. He doesn't have to justify anything.
Yeah, okay. So Barristan was also there.
Which we
Go
both
ahead and tell us
forgot.
what.
So we
Didn't
find
remember that
out
at
in a
all.
dance with dragons that Barristan actually sneaks back into King's Landing and he's there to see Ned get beheaded. So I think that would be another cool POV. I don't know that we would miss out on anything. Like we miss out on Arya's experience of again having a reality check of how the world works, but it would be cool to know Barristan's opinion and mindset, like what he was thinking when he saw the Gold Cloaks drag Ned out. Like, did he know at that point that something bad was going to happen? Like, could he tell, type of thing? Or was he as surprised as everybody else?
Well, that's a good question. I think he might have been just as surprised as everybody else.
Because Joffrey is
Yeah.
already, well, Joffrey didn't kick him off. Technically, Cersei was the one that told him to fuck off.
Without exercising the proper Kingsguard retirement plan and procedure.
They tried to give him a golden
Um,
parachute of lands.
so Baelish also got 4 votes. So in addition to with a Littlefinger POV here, we'd probably get access to like all kinds of sneaky plans. He'd like pass some dude in the crowd and been like, we'd have like some reference to whatever minor conspiracy that he has with this person and that person. A lot of people think Joffrey was influenced by Peter to kind of set off, and we'll get into that whenever we go into theories, I suppose. So yeah, I guess it would be interesting if Baelish had nothing to do with it. That would be another one who would be interesting to see because he, as soon as it happened, assuming again that he had no connection to it at all, his mind would already be racing with like, I can do this now, I can do this now. I doubt he's, picking up Sansa for whatever he's doing now in A Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows and stuff like that, because they're still, Robb and Bran, who, they're still alive. So I don't know if he's making plans for Sansa already. Maybe he thinks he can marry her easier now because he just has to talk to Kat and not Ned. Baelish does seem the type of guy that as soon as Ned's dead, he's just like, hey, Sansa, you look like you're really sad. I can comfort you. After Baelish, do you have anything to add on what a Baelish POV would do?
I think it would be stupid. It would give too much away. Like, what would be the point of all the books if we were inside Baelish's head?
I doubt he's thinking of like all of his conspiracies at that point.
But still, at this point, we don't know about Jon Arryn. We don't know that he's going to take Sansa. We don't. But if we were in his head now, we could start to see how he works. What are you shaking your head?
Well, he wouldn't be thinking about Jon Arryn right here. he might make some, like, there might be like some small bit of foreshadow going on,
Well, I'm not saying that
like
we would find
another
out
hand
about
gonna die.
it.
Well, not like, because that actually is a good point, because yeah, he obviously was culpable for the death of John Aaron. So like he'd be looking at Ned and be like, another hand is dead, and whether he was involved or not, he can make some kind of reference to like that's two down, go me, or I didn't have anything to do with this one. And then you're just like, wait, what did he have to do with the first one?
I think there would be a lot of
So
implications of
that could be kind of
things.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has any plans for Sansa right now, aside from wanting to bang her.
Okay.
Jack and Agar's another one on there, but he's in the Black Cells, so it'd be probably a pretty boring chapter, just him talking with Rourke and Biter. And then the next couple only got like two. Ill and Pain, that'd have been a neat one to get into. I don't know like what kind of opinions he'd have on it, because we just know so little about him. He has a sense of humor. He got
It's
his
a
tongue chopped out
creepy
because he was
laugh.
making jokes. And then when he practiced with Jamie, like he laughed at him. So maybe Ill and Pain's just like a really chill dude. Like he's like a class clown or something like that.
He just
And
looks
then he's
evil.
just like, shit, I just talked too much that one
One
fucking
time.
time. I made one bad joke and the wrong person heard it, and I get my fucking tongue ripped out, and I have to chop off people's heads for a living. Like like he's probably a really nice dude, and he's just like really angry that happened.
Well, look at Pod. Pod's a very well-mannered little boy, and they're related. So maybe they have good manners in their family.
Yeah, maybe. Like he's just really sour that he got his tongue chopped out and he can't make jokes anymore. The Blackie Alley Cat is the key to the whole story. That's stupid.
Skip.
I said I'm gonna make fun of it, but like I don't even know what to say. Ned, as a POV right here, I can tell you how it end.
Well, I think it would be interesting though, because then it would like parallel Kat's end. Her last POV ends with her death.
Not my head. Cat likes my head.
Oh God.
I was going for like identical parallels.
Themes and shit, right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, he could be thinking about his promise to Lyanna and just give that away.
Lyanna.
He'd probably be thinking about John. He'd be thinking about Robb. If RLD is true, he could be thinking about Daenerys.
He probably would be thinking about Daenerys, regardless if that's true or not, because every time she got brought up, he had that whole reaction.
And then Yoren, I think, could be a really good one too. I typed a comment on the post over here, and he could like on his way like to the spectacle here. We could read his thoughts on his relationship with Gior, if any kind of instructions Gior sent him. We could get some kind of inclination as to what him and Ned spoke about, if they did speak in private, his thoughts on
We were in Ned's head when
protecting
they spoke.
Arya, if they had like another meeting or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Ned sent him a letter, and Ned sends a lot of letters. And then like his thoughts on protecting Arya, on seeing Ned die. I think Jordan would be like my number 3 pick.
I just want to know where he came from, so that's the only reason why I would want to see a POV from him.
I don't think he'd talk about where he'd come from.
How did he spot Arya? That's what I'm saying. Like, how did he become that savior out of nowhere?
Yeah. The next interesting one is the Hound. How do you think the Hound would see in this? I can see him just being just like whatever the whole time, because he's like whatever. Unless he's just like, oh no, Sansa seems really upset.
I need to go comfort her.
He'd probably just be bitching the whole time. Probably we'd hear like 4 paragraphs on how much he hates the white cloak that he has on, and how everyone around him is stupid, and how
Hates
Ned
these
is stupid
guys.
for putting himself. I'd never be so stupid as to get my head chopped off in public. Wow, Joffrey's such a big asshole. Fuck the king. Fuck these knights. Fuck everybody. I mean, very bitter POV. And 3-Eyed Crow's on here.
I think Mandy's
guess.
just trolling.
Can the 3-Eyed Crow can work pigeons, because Ned can work a pigeon, and Ned's not even a 3-Eyed Crow.
A 3-eyed crow? There's multiple 3-eyed crows now?
It's the Crow and the Raven. Which one is the show only? Which one's the book?
Show is Raven, book is Crow.
Okay, so let's we spent way too much time talking about that, but I like doing that. Let's move on to quotes.
Okay, so my first quote is on 721. and it goes back to Serial's lessons. And she's telling herself, look with your eyes. So this is when she spots the wannabe Winterfell guards. Look with your eyes, she heard Serial whisper. Arya looked. She knew all of her father's men. The three in the gray cloaks were strangers. And then they go through the whole, who are you? And they're dicing. And she tries to offer the pigeon. And I just thought that was a really good call out back to her previous lessons and how she's going to, be using that kind of stuff going forward.
Yeah, I thought it was, from the Lannisters' point of view, like that's a really good move to like keep the ship there and have him dress up in Stark shirts and stuff. I was just like,
Yeah.
because when I read it, I was just like, I don't remember this happening. Like, how come she didn't get on the fucking boat? And she was just like, wait a minute. And I was like, oh, good call, Arya. I'd have got caught.
All right. So how and why did they know to do that?
Do what?
To keep that ship in particular.
Because they found out. They found the letter.
How did they find?
Oh,
No.
Sansa.
There you go. Okay, moving on.
This was when Sansa told her whenever like she thought everything was still okay and good. This wasn't like Ned was already captured and like on the chopping block, and then she was like, "We also were gonna go away on this ship." Sansa was tricked by an adult because she's a child.
Whatever.
Just fucking. My quote's on page 723, and it's basically just the mob conspiracy theories. It reminds me of our the Song of Ice and Fire fandom, with how like ridiculous they are. So from 723, they're talking about like how Robert died.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, I heard Stark killed the king, slit his throat in the woods. When they found him, he stood there just like really cool and said it was a boar that did it. And then someone's like, nah, his Renly did it. He put on the gold antlers and then he killed him. And they're just like, shut your lying mouth, woman. You don't know what you're saying about Renly. He's a good man.
That's how you talk to
And
me.
I'm just like, this is exactly the fandom. This is the fandom right now. Especially like Stannis people. When someone talks shit about Stannis, they're just like, hey, shut up. One true king. And then they just, like, that's...
We have done that.
Like, wow.
Shut up.
Yeah, I know. I can relate to it. Like, someone's like, this is what I think happened, and it's like, oh, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't understand
Your
the symbolism.
lying mouth. So yeah, I read that and I was just like, we are exactly like these people.
No, that's a good call out.
And also the dude that knows like all the bell etiquette, like.
Yeah.
No. That's not what this bell means. These bells mean this. This bells mean that. It's like, you really know your bells, dude.
It's happened enough times to where there's different protocols to summon people.
I guess. For the common IQ of Flea Bottom. I think he's above average.
He could speak in complete sentences.
The alternative POV from this guy. Random fat men in Flea Bottom with bell etiquette.
Okay. So I have another quote.
We find out his theory on how Robert died.
Did he give us a theory?
I don't think so. Like, it doesn't specify.
Oh,
like,
the bellman? No, he was in the scene before. Okay, no. He wasn't in that group. He was trying to fuck that lady or something, I think.
No, he was yelling at the whore, the redhead whore on the balcony. No. Some other dude, like, she was on a balcony. He was on the ground.
Alright, sorry.
I paid attention. Because she was an option in the alternative POV, the redhead whore on the balcony. I should have put the fat man.
Oh, is that who you were talking about? I thought you were making a joke about Sansa. I saw it and I was like, he wouldn't do that. Why is he doing that? I thought he meant Sansa up on the set of Baelor.
You're the worst.
I would have put that.
Why would I talk about Sansa like that? I love
exactly.
Sansa.
That's why I was really surprised when I saw it. I meant to ask you about it for clarification.
She's still a virgin.
You don't know any virgin whores?
Those are contrarian words.
So if a girl goes and sucks a bunch of dicks but hasn't had sex, she's not a whore?
In this setting... No, I'm not talking about fucking Sansa. I'm talking about the only descriptor of this sex worker. Go on with your quote. God, I'm really mad at you right now.
I literally thought it was Sansa. Okay. On 725, This is Ned's confession. Her father raised his voice still higher, straining to be heard. I betrayed the faith of my king and the trust of my friend Robert, he shouted. I swore to defend and protect his children, yet before his blood was cold, I plotted to depose and murder his son and seize the throne for myself. Let the High Septon and Baelor the Beloved and the Seven bear witness to the truth of what I say. Joffrey Baratheon, rightful king, blah, 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 blah. So the important part in this that stood out to me was let the High Septon, who the fuck cares, Baelor the Beloved, meh, and the Seven. Ned doesn't fucking worship the Seven. Him saying this means absolutely nothing to him. Well, which it obviously means nothing to him anyways because it's a false confession.
Insight. Yes,
Shut the fuck up. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. But it's a false confession regardless, but I just thought that line was funny because it makes it even more bullshit.
He's at the faith of the Seven Sept. He's at the cathedral of...
Yeah, but it's unnecessary. Like, he could just say the High Septon, fine, and Baelor the Blessed, fine, whatever. But, like, he doesn't give a shit about the Seven. I thought it was funny.
Well, he said it because he's there. His trial is a trial, like, in the Seven.
Well, the Seven are
not a trial by Seven, but not that stupid.
I thought it was funny to point out because he doesn't believe in them. Or, I shouldn't say he doesn't believe in them. We don't know what he believes. He doesn't follow them. Unless Kat converted him, which I highly doubt.
No, she didn't. So my next one is on 721, where Arya is... She's on the boat thing too, and they called her a boy, and it says they were looking for a girl, but he thought she was a boy. She'd be a boy then. So this kind of... I don't know if this is intended foreshadowing, but this seems like it's setting up her face-changing thing. Like, she'll be whatever she needs to be in order to survive or get through or do whatever. And really, like, her masquerading around as Aerie is kind of like her first session, like, of being a face changer ish, kind of. Like, not she's not using magic and shit, but she's pretending to be somebody else, and that's something that Arya has gone on since she, like, since now.
Since
like
this,
we're
yes.
in the book now. She always hides her identity. Like, she has the most identity conflict probably of any of the characters, to be honest. She's always pretending to be somebody else. At first just in name, but, you know, eventually in, like, appearance too. So I thought that was interesting to point out.
I thought it was interesting too because, you know, she's saying there that she would be a boy, but then when Yoren gets her, she's like adamant, I'm not a boy. Like, bitch, you just said that you would be a boy to save yourself from the Lannister guards. You know who Yoren is. Yoren's telling you to shut up, boy, and you're... I just don't...
It's not like her father just got her head chopped off right in front of her, so she's thinking straight. At least you're consistent with your criticism of the Stark girls. They're all just a bunch of fucking idiots to you, aren't they?
No.
God, you hate them so much, and I don't know why.
No, I don't. I do not.
Can't wait to play that back when you call Arya a stupid bitch. Is that what you said? Did you say bitch? I can't remember if you said it.
No!
Because you're just like, you just said that you would be a boy to save your life, you stupid bitch.
Oh, did I?
I think so.
I don't think I did. Oh my god, I hope I didn't. Because I don't think of her like that. Oh no.
Apparently you do. Because you just hate all the Stark women.
No.
So, I can't just narrow it to girls because you hate Catelyn too, so you hate all the Stark women.
I don't hate Cat. The first time...
You do.
And the first time and the second time I read the books, I hated her and I hated Sansa. I am seeing Cat more as a strong woman trying to do the best for her family. There are things that I still don't like about her, but I don't hate her. And Sansa, for the most part, I'm trying to remember what it was like to be a stupid teenage girl, but it just frustrates me because I was a stupid teenage girl and did a lot of stupid shit because you like a boy, but she's a fucking idiot.
She's 12.
I don't care.
She's not even a teenager, dude.
I'm gonna have Max stab you.
Move on now to standout appearances. I mentioned this earlier. It's not really an appearance of a character, but it's the Lannister plan to wait on the Wind Witch. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, the Wind Witch and the Stark unis. That really stood out to me as, like, a really good plan. Just leave that hanging in there, just in case Arya showed up. Good
How long
plan.
do you think
Obviously,
they
like
were
big
there?
stand. How long has it been since Ned's
No,
failed
but I mean
too?
like after this, after Ned's head got taken. Like how
Oh,
much longer do you think they just chilled out there?
they're still fucking there. She's gonna come, guys. I swear.
At what
It'll
point do they
happen
give
tomorrow.
up?
No, well, no, because like Blackwater happened, so like they were there at
Oh,
Blackwater, and they were just like, "No, guys, we're Starks," and then like Stannis' men were trying to save them, and they were just like, "Actually, we're Glow Cloaks." Oh fuck. Yeah, so they died.
is that all you had for
Here's your
standout?
stand-up appearance. I mean, like Joffrey obviously gets a stand-up appearance, and a couple of these other guys, Ellen Payne swinging the sword, Yoren for doing whatever. But
I
low-key standout was this plan and those two guys. I mean, they were bad at their job. Arya walked up, and they were just like, "Fuck off, boy." She's just like, "Okay." And it's just like that was a
yeah.
pass-fail attempt. What you got?
So I had Joffrey and Yoren, you know, again being tainted by the show. We know what's gonna happen, but I don't I don't think if you were reading the books for the first time through, you would see that coming. You know, the fact that he would just flip like that.
Definitely not.
I think going into the show, I had seen so many memes about Ned dying that I knew he was going to die at some point.
I didn't. How
Um,
long did you wait to pick up the show?
I didn't start watching the show until like season 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched them like in the off season after season one aired, and like I finished watched it up. I thought it was really boring. It took me a while to get into it.
I kept avoiding it. My friends kept trying to get me to watch it, and I didn't want to. And now I'm like obsessed with the books, and nobody wants to talk to me. That's why I have to talk to you people all the time now, because my friends don't talk to me anymore. And then Yoren, he just came out of nowhere.
I mean, everyone was there.
Why was he
We
still
find
in
out
the
like
city?
19 books later that Barristan was there.
Yeah, true.
So
I don't know. It's just very weird to me, and again, it stands out because he was there in the right place at the
I mean,
right
there is
time
a
to save
shit ton of
Arya.
timely saves in this series.
True. Yeah.
Fuck ton of like lucky saves.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
And this barely registers on the oh fuck come the fuck on scale.
Yeah.
Like Tyrion being rescued after he was touched by the Stone Men. First of all, him being rescued and him not contracting Greystale is like, really? Podrick saving Tyrion at Blackwater is like, really? Podrick killed Manamore?
Because
That was
Manowar was
lucky.
such a great fighter.
He was.
I know. I know that now. I didn't know that back then.
The other one I have is the fat man that knows bell ringing customs, but I've talked about him a bunch already. So now we move on to theories. So, in my opinion, the only theory worth talking about is if Joffrey was influenced in one way or another to ignore Sansa and Cersei, and well, I mean, we know explicitly those two that tried to campaign for Ned's life. And then the other likely candidates are Littlefinger, and then there's Varys, and Varys doesn't really make any sense why he would want Ned to die. So I feel comfortable debunking Varys. Do you agree, or do you think Varys had something to do with it?
I don't think Varys wanted Ned dead.
If you did believe that, how would you frame that argument?
That it
He
would
meets Ned alone in the Black Sails, and he just feeds him a load of shit just so he can act out in public, waving his arms, running around,
running
talking
around in
like
his slippers.
yeah. I don't think he'd kind
Um,
of make him like lose his composure in public like that if you actually like planned for that to happen.
well,
Varys
we
would
know,
decide to
like,
die.
so we find out later on that Varys has ulterior motives, you know, with everything basically throughout the entire story. But even when we have those scenes in the beginning through one of Arya's POVs where she overhears him and Illyrio, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're adamant that now is not the time. And um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he wanted this at all. I just can't see him doing it. But if he did, I think a cool way for him to do it would be to hide in the walls of the Red Keep and like whisper to Joffrey in his dreams, like how Lan the Clever made everybody go crazy and leave Casterly Rock, like Varys
Allegedly.
did. Okay, one of the theories or one of the stories, whatever, of how they got it
One of
If
the
Varys did
story
something serious.
theories.
Yeah, I think that would be funny.
Probably theory probably has a home in Flea Bottom, or the Lannisport version of Flea Bottom. The other option is Littlefinger telling Joffrey to do it.
So there's a question on here that says, is there any indication that Littlefinger influenced Joffrey to execute Ned? It's implied in Clash when Varys and Tyrion are talking about the nature of power and influence that Joffrey did not come up with the idea to kill Ned on his own, that someone talked him into it. Varys stopped short of accusing Littlefinger of it directly, but the suggestion is that someone whispered into Joffrey's ears, and Littlefinger is one of the few people with the means and motivation to do it. So, honestly, I had never thought about it, and I didn't even know that this was a thing until sometime last year. Because doesn't that one channel that we don't like, do they have a video on it? And they accuse him of that?
Probably. I don't know.
I feel like they do, and that's where I heard it first.
Probably Cat. It's probably in like one of their 1900 Reasons Why Cat Sucks.
Sure.
She whispered to Joffrey to kill Ned. Somehow.
Through Peter.
I don't recall that conversation between Varys and Littlefinger that post
Varys
is
and Tyrion.
referencing. Varys and Tyrion, or whatever. I don't recall that conversation at all. So I'll remain open on that part, just because I can't confirm or deny anything about it. Ned going to the wall seems like it solves Littlefinger's problem already. So I don't know why killing him and taking that extra step is necessary. Because on one hand, you have Sansa, who's emotionally destroyed at this whole thing if Ned dies, and then if Ned's alive, she's like, this isn't so bad. She still gets her below slash because she's the daughter of a traitor. She's not marrying Joffrey anymore, probably. That will still go forward.
Well, she
But
doesn't
now
know
she's not
that
to marry
yet, though.
Joffrey, and she's right. But I mean, that's the plan going forward. They weren't going to keep her wedding if Ned was still alive. That was going to. Sansa's not an option. So if Littlefinger's goal is Sansa right now, then fine. And then Ned being at the wall, he might as well just be irrelevant to everybody. He's not a factor in anything anymore. You know? So
Yeah.
I don't see why killing him, unless it was just some roundabout way to get revenge on Brandon. If he's just Brandon, you're dead now, but I got your brother killed because fuck the Starks. Or something.
That's
And Littlefinger doesn't seem that petty. You know? So I don't think so. I think Joffrey did it on his own. He wanted to make his mark. He is a bit of a psychopath. I can see how he takes this treason as a personal insult to himself. Seeing how he reacted to Barristan, demanding Barristan be imprisoned and probably executed. And this just makes sense that Joffrey acted on his own because he does crazy shit like this. He is a sadistic little asshole. So, yeah, I think it was just Joffrey. That's my opinion. And it is probably right. What else you got?
So.
Oh, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. The whole 3-man face swap.
Yeah, but
thing.
I can. Oh well, yeah, I have that one written down too. So there's a couple.
I mean,
theories
we talked about
it
in the Fear, Stupid, and Swords episode, so I'd rather not hash those back out again because my opinion still hasn't changed.
Well, no, I was just gonna high level. There is a theory that Syrio was talked into taking Ned's face, and Syrio was the one that was, I was gonna say sacrificed, who was the one beheaded, and that Ned is off somewhere living the good life apparently, and fuck his family. That's one weird theory. There are two theories I was trying to find more information on. There's a theory that Ned warged into ice, and that is why when Tobo Ma is trying to reforge ice, the color is so messed up because it's Ned's blood and it won't leave the sword. And then there's another theory that. Do you want to talk about that one? Because you're making faces. Or should I move on to the pigeon?
There's nothing to back that up. Ned's blood is still in the sword, and that's why I can't get it out. What's your evidence? How did you come around to that?
I didn't write it. We could probably talk to. I know of one person who believes it.
If someone knows, Write it down in the comments, because how can you skin
It
change a sword?
an inanimate
Not,
object.
yeah, like, no,
Oh,
that doesn't sound like a thing.
yeah. So for anybody
But
who doesn't know me in the group, I get like super triggered when people call everything warging. So the appropriate term
I
is
did that on the
skin.
poll on purpose.
I know, and and I've gotten to the point where I don't try to correct people because it just gives me like my eye has been twitching all week already, but I feel like I want to have a stroke anytime someone says warg. And I just read something right now that Jon Snow warged into 1/1, and I was just like, what the fuck is that? So I have to go back to that at some point and read these
Well, one
stupid
is a
things.
giant.
Point. Okay, and so then the other one is that Ned warged, skin changed into a pigeon. Um, and then I've never heard the second part
It,
before,
it
but
got 18 votes.
that pigeon was then put in Joffrey's wedding pie, and Joffrey decapitated Ned again. I had never heard that second part before, so that was interesting. And it would be with reforged ice, so twice Ned got his head cut off by ice. That's kind of funny.
The thing, like, if he skin changed into, or I'm sorry, I'll use the proper term. If he warged into ice, like, he died anyway because Tywin split that sword in half.
True.
So
half of him is
dead. Or like when you warg a sword, like are you maintaining like your identity in two different swords now, or did he get to pick a sword that he wants to be in? Was it not up to him? Did he just like automatically get put into Oathkeeper, or did he get automatically put into Widow's Wail? I am the details on swording. On swarging.
Copyright. We have the copyright on that word.
on swarging.
But I don't know how people come up with this stuff. Like, we've said it before, I think in one of our very first episodes. Theory making is not for us. That's left to other people.
I like killing theories. I like doing that. That's fun.
And then we get called assholes.
I guess that just means like I find happiness in depriving others of happiness.
Well, it's not that.
That seems kind of.
There are theories that both of us like. There are theories that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Over time, since my first read of the books through now, that I no longer believe, or I find hard to believe in. Like
which one?
Like the Dornish master plan. I used to be all for it, and there's still some parts that I would like to believe are true, but looking at it as a whole, and then listening to the chicks on Unabashed Book Snobbery, like they go into this whole thing about Dorne and how Arianne, whatever.
Arianne.
Oh, what the fuck?
Arianne.
Anyways, Doran's daughter, like basically all of Doran's kids, he doesn't give a shit about his kids, and it's just like, it brings in logic to it that makes you see all these holes in the theory to where it just doesn't make any damn sense. I would like to believe that Doran's been planning to bring down the Lannisters. I would love for that. But
I mean, like, a big part of that, like, something that like really showed it to me, like, symbolism, I'm like, okay. But like in the Water Gardens, like there's the overripe oranges, and like they just fall on the ground, and like Doran does, like, he doesn't react to them. And I saw an interpretation, whether this is right or wrong, but like I kind of dug it. It's like it's symbolic of what Doran himself is, how his plans like come and go, like there's a time to act, and then like he didn't act on them, and then just like with the orange, like there was a time it was ripe, time to pick it, and he didn't, and now it's just like kind of hanging there, and then when it falls flat and drops, nothing happens. Like Doran doesn't react to it, so when his plan hits the time, it hits go time, it's now, let's do this shit, and Doran doesn't do it, and then it just falls flat, and he doesn't do anything after that. So I was like, okay, I can see that kind of symbolism and those parallels, like with how that explains, like that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That his plan was just to marry Arianne to Viserys 1,000 years ago, and then that didn't work out, and he's been like, no, I promise we're gonna do something.
At some point, something's gonna happen.
Like, I had a plan, and then I don't know. And the thing with Oberyn too, like Oberyn traveling all around the world, like making connections and building the super spy network. And then the alternative was Oberyn goes around and does all this stuff because he just gets bored and can't, like, he has like ADD or some shit like that, and he can't like focus on like one particular thing for that long. So like the sellsword company that he formed over in Essos was like he got drunk one night with like a bunch of dudes, and they're just like, we're gonna form our own sellsword company. And then that lasted like a week, and they're just like, yeah,
Oh my
this
god.
kind of stupid. Let's fucking go. He
I've
goes to
been
Mace school and he drops out a bunch of times,
I've been
or
wanting
he
to do
drops
a
out.
post on that actually about that. About
About
him
what?
being at the Citadel. But so my
Yeah, he
entire
forged a couple
point.
links and then he quit. He wandered this way. He fucked a bunch of chicks. He goes to Volantis, and you know. So he just wanders around and fucks a lot of people and has like these great big ambitions, and then he stops.
Okay, so this
A little
entire
bit the whole
book
time.
of Game of Thrones has absolutely nothing to do with Dorne. So that tangent, the point of that
Eh,
was that we don't hate all
there's a point.
theories. There was a point. I had a point. You may have not have had a
Right.
point. My point was
Nice.
that, we don't hate all theories. Um, so I don't want anybody to think that when they get to that section of our podcast, it's just going to be us bashing everything.
I believe the Phagon theory. I don't think he's Aegon Targaryen, son of Rhaegar.
Oh, you think the Blackfire? Or do you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
he's
I
a
think he's a
random?
Blackfire or some rando. I don't know. Probably a Blackfire. That'd be cool.
I like the Blackfire theory. Yeah.
He seems like a Blackfire. John Connington seems like an Aegor Rivers type. Um,
John
so
Con's gonna die.
they're all gonna die, dude.
So what do we have
Any
coming
final
up next?
thoughts on
Oh,
this chapter?
I don't. Or do you want
Yeah,
to say an official goodbye to Ned? Do you want to do a eulogy for Ned?
no, Ned was an asshole. I don't like him. I don't like him.
All right.
Like Boromir. Boromir was my favorite character in Lord of the Rings. He was like the only real human character who had like internal struggle and conflict. That's it. I'm not gonna go on a Lord of the Rings tangent.
Yeah.
But no, like I
No.
thought Ned was a bit of a dick, and he was kind of a moron, and he made like some really bad decisions. He had lofty ideals that he thought everyone else had the same, mindset as him, and even though he thinks all the time like, God, this is so bad. Why don't they like? I can't believe they would do this. He thinks that over and over again. He doesn't trust Peter, and he trusts Peter, and then Peter's like, don't fucking do that to her,
Fucking
and
idiot.
he spills his beans to Cersei, and you condemn Sansa for that, but Ned did the same thing, and you're just like, I'm sad Ned's dead.
I didn't. No. No.
Cersei, I'm gonna arrest you and your kids for being like incest with your brother and bastards, and then I'm gonna try to take over because Stannis should have it,
He tried to give Cersei an out.
which is like, no, that was a
And
bad
I'm
idea.
not saying
That was
it was a
really
good
bad.
idea. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that's what he did. And you know what? We are going to go through every bad. Well, not every. We're going to go through a lot of Ned's bad ideas in our retrospective episode. So you guys should come back
We're,
for that in a couple weeks.
we're gonna take a look through the entire book, and we're gonna name in regards to Ned here, the dumbest POV character and the worst decision made by any character, POV or other.
We'll
Or should we
probably
keep it to
go to
POV?
Ned. I we're still figuring out the specifics, but point being, we will be doing a high
Yeah,
level
I'm not
review.
spoiling, and like I need to go through and like reread this book 4 times before I hand out my award. So I'm not saying that Ned wins both of those,
But those are examples
but
of
off
what
the
will
top
be
of my head, he
happening.
seems like a front runner. He's a strong candidate for at least dumbest decision. Um, but yeah, we'll get into that's going to be like 4 or 5 episodes down the road or some shit
Yeah,
like
we
that.
still got
So
a couple to do.
it'll be fun. There'll be a lot of polls. Everybody loves polls.
So next we have Bran 7, where Bran and Rickon both have the crypt dream about Ned. So as always, guys, thanks for listening. Give us some feedback in the comments. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like. Check out our other episodes. Follow us on SoundCloud. Let your friends know how much we suck, and you guys can laugh at us. We'd
No, we're
appreciate it.
good now. They don't need to tell them that we suck.
No,
We're
we're
good
we're
now.
good now.
We're
We
good.
don't suck. Can you guys confirm for us? We need validation. So leave us a comment and let us know. Or maybe I need validation and Eric just doesn't give a shit.
It is what it is.
But all right, thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.